Welcome, everyone, to the Reality of Health podcast. Today, we're talking about the reality of sunscreen. Yep, that time of the year, people are starting to get outside, spending more time in the sun, and of course, there's that voice in the background that says, don't forget your sunscreen. But Mom, I'm only going outside for like a half an hour. I know, but you're gonna get burned. We've heard it so many times, haven't we? All right, so let's get into it. Sunscreen industry and everything surrounding it is actually a $7 billion a year industry. And boy, they're happy when the sun comes out, that's for sure. People get outside, spend more time, they gotta buy the sunscreen. Kind of a weird word, isn't it? Sunscreen? What is sunscreen? Think about it. The word sun and the word screen. How do you screen the sun? Sunscreen doesn't screen the sun. And then they used to say, hey, you got any sunblock? In probably certain areas of the world and countries and states and stuff. Can you actually block the sun? Well, in this episode, I'm not going to tell you not to wear sunscreen. I just want to educate you on when you should use it and what kind you should use. If you're trying to get tan, well, that's a totally different thing. But I'm talking about keeping you from getting burned. Did you know there are two types of sunscreen? Chemical-based sunscreen that absorbs UV and mineral-based sunscreen that blocks the UV and infrared light. That's what you feel as heat. IR, infrared, plus UV is how you burn. There are so many chemicals in the chemical-based sunscreen that it would take multiple hours to cover it all. We're not going to get into all of that. I'm going to give you maybe a different perspective. All right, let's talk about how bad chemical sunscreen products actually are for you. First things first, who approved the chemicals used in sunscreen? I think you know who those people are. You think they're influenced at all whatsoever by people more powerful than them? Why would those chemicals be approved for use when there are natural ingredients that work better and don't harm you? Oh yeah, that would be because they're cheap and inexpensive with no side effects. The chemicals you use in the chemical type are toxic to your body. They cause all sorts of issues from disrupting your endocrine system all the way to skin disorders. They're absorbed into the body and then they travel everywhere. They use everything from plastics, yes, plastics, to synthetic fragrances. Oh, and by the way, they only block half the UV spectrum, which is why you can still burn when you use those types. Mineral-based are different. They use things like zinc oxide and titanium oxide, which both are good for your skin. Remember all those photos and videos back in the day of people having white cream on their nose? Yep, that was zinc oxide. Well, that stuff worked. Now, you don't need to go and slap white cream all over your body. That's not what I'm talking about. But you do have to look for what's called non-nano uncoated zinc oxide. We'll actually state that on the label. Non-nano uncoated zinc oxide. And that is a big difference between nano version and non-nano. Most brands will use things like the nano version of the zinc. That's because it mixes better in their base lotion or cream, whatever they're selling you. But the non-nano uncoated zinc is actually better because it's too large to pass into your skin. Therefore, it stays on the outside of your skin and then works as an astringent. This is very healthy. You ever heard of things like witch hazel or skin toners? Now, the reason you want uncoated is because they actually use silicone, silicone, to coat the zinc oxide so that it mixes better. You see, they always have to ruin everything. Zinc oxide that is uncoated and not in a nano form is still the best sun blocker you can get. It blocks the entire UV spectrum. No other ingredient or chemical or mineral can do that. So if you want the greatest coverage for UV, it has to be zinc oxide, uncoated, non-nano. By the way, it also helps stop, those darker spots on your skin from getting darker while you're in the sun. And of course, it's non-toxic. There's only one drawback. It can leave a little whitish sheen to your skin. Most people don't care. It's not a big deal. If you have really white skin, you're not going to notice it anyway. But if you have darker skin, you're going to notice it a little bit. It's not that bad. If you're extremely vain, you might say, oh, I can't take that. I'd look stupid. No one cares, and they know what it is. They know it's going to be a sunscreen. There's also a titanium oxide version that works well too, but that only blocks half the UV spectrum. So you need to start looking for natural sunscreens that only use non-nano zinc and titanium dioxide. Or you can even purchase it and add it to any product you want. Just make sure you don't add it to a product that has chemical sunscreen ingredients, because they interact and they'll nullify each other and it's a whole big mess. But essentially you can go buy non-nano zinc oxide powder and add it to whatever you want. Here's something that might blow your mind. There's actually oils that will help stop you from burning. There's only a few of them. Those would be carrot seed oil, which is the most powerful, then raspberry seed oil, then wheat germ oil. Those will actually help you from getting burned, but also give you a glorious tan. Then, of course, you can always make your own. Take some jojoba oil, add some of those oils that I just mentioned, and then a little bit of the zinc oxide powder. Shake it up, mix it up super well. And if you want it less oily, you can just add the zinc to a natural lotion, like my favorite, I've talked about it before, Aloe Life's hand and body lotion. The other interesting thing about using sunscreen is you are told to use it to stop yourself from getting skin cancer. Skin cancer caused by the sun? Well, then why have we had a 4-fold increase in cancer for the last 40 years? People use sunscreen more than ever. And yet skin cancer is on the rise every year. Not by a little bit, but by a lot. It wouldn't have anything to do with a poor diet and eating tons of sugar and slathering chemicals all over your body and tons of toxins into your body on a regular basis every day, all day, now would it? Of course it is. How come they didn't have skin cancer over 100 years ago? If it was caused by the sun, then wouldn't the human race have died out long ago? And might I add, before someone invented sunscreen. Isn't it weird that people that spend a lot of time in the sun have darker skin? Almost as if that's your way to protect your skin, inherently in the human species. So many things in scientific biology are simply made up, and I wonder why. Let's just say that the epidemiological studies can be construed in any way that they want to propagandize you to believe that the sun causes skin cancer. Because that's exactly what they do. Those are called models. They can say whatever they want. It's called cherry picking. But Eric, there's all these studies and scientific proof that sunscreen keeps you from getting skin cancer. Well, there's a whole lot of published scientific literature that doesn't actually show any benefit at all. But I digress. Just remember, cancer in the skincare industry is a business model. I'm going to leave that one right there. Okay, I can't hold back. So if skin cancer is caused from the sun's radiation, then why would you take any type of chemotherapy for your cancer situation? You see, as you know, I've spoke of Dr. Ulrich Williams. Well, he stated cancer is but one result of failure to live healthily. Psychological turmoil, wrong thinking, vitamin and mineral deficiency, and toxic accumulation are the causes. Let's first point out that your skin is not only a barrier from the outside world, but also a filter. Lets some stuff in and some stuff out. If, when letting stuff out, like toxins, can we assume the skin might look a little weird? Maybe have discoloration or any number of weird anomalies? Your skin is one of the main ways to detoxify poisons out of your body. One of those ways can look like cancer. But is it really? You've been told UV light is bad for you. And well, it can be, but only at night, which is the whole circadian rhythm thing. During the morning and midday, it's super healthy for you. Here's a quick tip for you. A high-fat diet is one way to help from getting burned. You see, burning comes from the IR frequency of light first. Too much can harm you. Just enough helps to build your solar callus. That would be a tan. If you've never heard that term, that is your natural sunscreen. But of course, if you spend way too much time straight out in the sun, you can get burned no matter how much solar callus you have. That's where the zinc oxide comes in. Use it, you get the tan without the burn. So what's wrong with wearing sunscreen? Well, the first thing, it interferes with your skin respiration. If you're in the sun and you need to sweat, sunscreen can block that ability for sweating, which of course sweating is one of the main ways you detoxify all the water in your body. Remember, you are a water being, and poisons destructure your water. That's what makes you sick. So essentially, you've sealed off your skin, and that's never a good idea at all whatsoever at any time in your life. But Eric, I'm outside doing my sport or whatever I'm doing, and I don't want to get burned. Well, then you can wear any of the new fabrics that block you from getting burned. And you don't have to use nasty chemical-laden, toxin-rich, sun-blocking paste. Professional athletes use these fabrics. Why can't you? They're breathable, they're light, they don't make you too warm. And if you don't want to use something like that, and you want to go out in the sun and enjoy the sun without the fabrics, then you can use natural alternatives. Like only staying in the sun for short periods of time. Get in, get out, get in, get out, you know the drill. And then if you're out in the sun too long, you can tell you're not feeling so well. You could feel like just, you know what, I'm feeling hot, or any number of symptoms. It's different for everybody. Especially the one of, I think I need some shade. I mean, that's a pretty telltale sign. Let's be real. Guess what they used to use that we no longer use because it looks weird? That would be an umbrella. Boy, those things can come in handy. The French made those famous. Have to admit, women using a parasol is kind of cute. Let's talk about the skincare products. They tell you need sunscreen ingredients in your daily regimen. You're not protecting yourself from anything. Matter of fact, you are hurting your skin and your body. They are not anti-aging. It's just more propaganda. When you actually know how the skin works, then you would never want to use those products or ingredients. You don't age from a lack of sunscreen. Just like you don't have a headache from a lack of aspirin.
Maybe, but really, I'm speaking the truth here, pal.
Well, I hope you learned something today. If you like the information I bring to you Monday and Thursday and haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. It definitely helps the channel. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves.